What a lot of folks don't realize is that I was hired to save the U.S. Forest Service. Now, a lot of folks in the Forest Service didn't realize it at the time, but in the 1960s, several laws were passed. The Multiple Use Sustained Yield Act of 1960, the National Environmental Policy Act of 1969, the Endangered Species Act of 1973, the Resource Planning Act of 1974, and the National Forest Management Act of 1976 all told the U.S. Forest Service that you needed to hire more than foresters and engineers. You needed to hire wildlife biologists, you needed to hire fish biologists, you needed to hire archaeologists, you needed to hire landscape architects. So I was one of that wave of the baby boom generation who got jobs with the U.S. Forest Service, really swelled the ranks. It was kind of tough because I walked in after getting a degree in college in biology, a BS in biology, and walked in with the attitude, well, I know everything and I'm here to help save this organization. And the old guys just really didn't appreciate that. So I recall one day talking to an older forester. I'd been there for several months, and he said, well, how many forestry courses did you take while you were in college? And I said, I didn't take any. He said, well, what do you know about forest management? I said, I know all I need to know about forest management. You know, I know about deer, I know about rabbits, I know about grouse, I know about turkeys and squirrels and ducks. I know everything I really need to know about forest management to manage the wildlife resources. So the forester said, well, okay, tell me how you manage aspen. I said, aspen? Okay, that's the easy one. You clear cut aspen because it's an early successional stage species. It needs lots of light. It sprouts from the roots. And he said, okay, all right, tell me, what's the best time of year to cut aspen? Now here, I did not know the answer directly, but I had to deduce it. And in my wildlife management course, the instructor said, aspen, he said, you get root disturbance and the sprouts come up from the roots, he said, and you can use a roller chopper. That's like a 10-ton roller with big steel vanes on it that you tow across the fields where the aspen is cut, and it will chop the roots up into like 1-foot sections, and each section of the root will send up a sprout. So I told Jim, I said, well, I think the best time of year to cut aspen is in the summer. And he said, really? Why? I said, because of root disturbance. That will increase sprouting. In fact, if you really want to increase aspen generation, you know, here and I was really on a roll now. I said, you can take a roller chopper and roll it back and forth across that aspen clear cut and you will increase your sprouting. And Jim looked at me and he said, you know, he said, you cut aspen in the middle of the winter because the roots are at their peak. They store the most food in the root system during the winter. And you cut them during the winter, all that energy goes to putting up new sprouts. You cut it during the summer when the leaves are on, the root reserves are at their lowest, and if you want to eliminate aspen, cut it in the summer. And I'm thinking, oh, and he said, oh, and by the way, he said, roller chopping is what we do to eliminate aspen from stands. And I got to thinking, that BS that I got in biology, the BS stood for more than Bachelor of Science. So my education started about the time I started working for the Forest Service. And I learned a lot, and some of those lessons that I learned I want to pass along to you folks today.